What's going on, guys? Marcin here, and I am just finishing setting up here. Hope you guys are doing well. It's on November 6th, 1 p.m. It's a little different than every week. I actually pushed our session today by 1 hour, and I will show you why, and hopefully that's going to be helpful for you guys. But today, let me just make sure that we are live here. Looks like Facebook is a go, YouTube is a go. Speaking of which, if as we go here, if you have any questions or comments, if you're watching on YouTube, use comments for your questions. I always have ability to just kind of glance here, and I can answer your questions on the go. Same with Facebook. If you're in the photography turn passion into income group, you can leave comments there, and I can actually grab them and answer them here as well. So if you're running into this for the first time, for those that watch all the time, they know. But if you don't know, I'm Marcin. I have done photography for the last 17 years. The website is creativefactory.art, and it's with the K, creativefactory.art. I've done it for 17 years. Every week I come here and I share golden BBs. What that means is I take part of for those of you guys that are building photography business and are trying to make money with your cameras, we hit every aspect of the business, and we talk about what makes it work. And this could be camera editing, business automation, client interactions, editing, all this stuff. The goal is to get you to get paid. So today this was triggered by a conversation I had the other day with somebody out of the group. And the question was about settings. Like, hey, what are the, because we really get super overwhelmed when it comes to settings in the camera, or just looking at the camera. Like, that thing is pretty, I remember when I first got it, like I wasn't afraid of technology, but like my biggest like blockers from going pro at the very beginning when I started, right, 17 years ago, was like, one was I was doubting myself, like, is this too technical for me? It was just whenever I was hearing people talking about like going outside of like auto mode and going into manual or any other mode, because I didn't know what they were all for. The first thing was like, this sounds like it's technical, like it's difficult. And I remember I was like, am I going to be like able to like calculate those numbers? What does it take? Like, I always thought you had to be like super good, and the pros were, it was just, the gap was so like distant. So technicalities were number one, and then the other one was art. I'm like, I'm not really like I don't consider myself like a creative person, really. Am I going to be able to lift it? And this is exactly why I'm here, to kill those like myths, and your brain will take you on a journey and tell you that, we'll figure out a reason for you not to do it. And part of why I'm here is to let you guys know, to give you both permission, and to tell you from being on the other side of the fence, is like, if technicalities are stopping you or art is stopping you, then don't worry about it. Like, I was in this business to make money. Like, a lot of people would probably be like, I don't know, ashamed or not comfortable saying that. And for me, it wasn't like, a lot of times when people ask me, like, what was it? Was it just you loved photography? Like, no, I loved money. Like, that's pretty much what it was for me. And that's, I'm not hiding that. That was the main driver, and that's what I'm optimizing for. It's like, okay, how can I get you to money as fast as possible? You will get creative. You will learn technical stuff anyway on the way there. But I'm here, like, session like today is to kind of break the myths and say, hey, you only have to worry about like 5% of the technical stuff that's in your camera. Like, in terms of menus, you'll see there's like probably hundreds, if not 200, different options in your menu. And you really get to use like 10, or like 14. It's just silly. So that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today. I actually wanted to set up myself up here so that I can actually show you my camera. Actually, let's do a quick preview. Let's see if this is working for us. Because what I was planning on doing is, let me see. if I switch, oh, of course, and the camera ran out of battery, but I think we have a spare one here. So we are, after all, live. Things can go south at any moment, but what I'm going to do is swap batteries quickly in my camera, pop the new one here. Let me see if we can reorganize. Okay, camera's back on. So if we switch here, this is really kind of the first time I'm using this view. So this is new for those of you guys that are joining the sessions normally. But this is what I want to essentially take you through. So this is, the camera menu. This is what we're going to focus on today. So we'll talk about menu options and what is that you have to worry about, and I'll show you that it's almost funny. Like when you see just a few things you have to worry about, like hopefully it'll help you break through that technical wall. But what is it that I didn't cover? What is that I normally cover during the thing? I told you guys about comments, like as I'm going through, and if you have any questions, use the comments both on Facebook and YouTube. I always try to flash some sort of like a QR code in case you're trying to find a group, or I know somebody asked the other day about the assessment. So the assessment, let me quickly talk about it. This is our QR code. If you scan it, it will get you to the sort of like to a bunch of links, but one of them is essentially an assessment. So if you're trying to like start your photography business and you're not really sure, like, where are my gaps? Where am I disconnected? You can actually go and take the assessment. It's about 30 questions. Like, it's not like a nonsense, 7-question, can you be a photographer? It's an actual thing that can assess your dips. And what I mean by dips is like areas that you need to focus on where you're lagging. It could be personal brand. It could be like AI and automation. Maybe it's content strategy. Maybe it's something like business pricing strategies. So the assessment, when you take it, and then it also evaluates like your client interaction skills and camera skills. If you take the assessment, in the end, you get the score, and you actually get to see like, hey, here's area number 1 where you're kind of in red, and here's another area where maybe it's yellow, and the rest of the areas may be green. So I always say it's worth taking it because you guys will be evaluated based on kind of where you are, and this way you know what to focus on. On the channel, I have all the different episodes that are targeting those areas. So then once you go through this process, you can actually look for the videos that are tackling specific areas where things need to be improved. Like, the goal is really to identify where we have the dips and fix them as quick as possible, because that will get you to money as quick as possible. As always, I have a slide deck for you guys, so let's bring it up, flash it on a screen quickly. Custom camera menu settings training. I could probably come up with a better name, but that's what it is for right now. Simplify your camera setup and take full control of your gear with confidence. And like I said, we'll be talking about the back of the camera. I'm using for this example Canon 5D Mark III. I normally shoot with 5D Mark IV. I'm not a brand nut, so I think Sony, Nikon, and Canon, they're all equivalent. Buttons are in different places, and yes, you can probably find little things that are better, but like, we're not here to figure out which brand is better. We are here to figure out how to make money with whatever camera you have. So the thing is, we'll go through it, and then let's see what's on our next slide here. Why custom menus matter. So as we go into it, what I will be showing you guys is custom menu, and just to kind of a not a legal disclaimer, but just this brand disclaimer. If you're like, oh, is it for my camera? So all brands, and I typically talk about Sony, Nikon, and Canon, have that option embedded in their menus. So I will be using Canon 5D Mark III, and I may even cover one of the options that's not on this camera, like wireless, for example, which is on 4. But the idea here is to show you, like, what am I using when I go and shoot an event, right? What is that I pay attention to? And I got to tell you, over the years, that my custom menu has changed. but it has been the same for at least like 10 years. So it's really mind-blowing because it's like there's like 6 or 7 settings that I always look at and I ignore absolutely the rest. So why do we have so many menu options in the camera? It depends on the type of photography you're doing, depending on your preferences, depending on whether you're processing some of the image, the looks, the feel in the camera. Like there's different looks, feels, preferences. Most of this stuff you'll never use. And if there's something that you're like, you really need to customize, maybe a button, maybe a slider, maybe, turn wheel in the back, yes, you can go and customize the rest. Do you need it for just taking photos and charging money? No, that's why I'm only focusing on the stuff that will move the needle forward. Today's training will show you how to set up your camera's custom menu for faster, stress-free shooting. We'll address common frustrations like digging through menus or forgetting key settings during critical moments. You don't want to be, at the shoot, whether you're doing corporate, family, weddings, and thinking about like, where is that option? Like, where do something as simple as like, maybe your cards are not formatted. It's like, it's very like simple thing to do, but then you have to like dig through the menus, right, and find it, and that's exactly what we're trying to solve. Like, so I'm not going to skip forward and tell you what options we're discussing, but that's what we want. We want one menu where you literally hit a button, go to that menu, and you have all the options that you use all the time in one place so that you don't have to search. You'll learn how to create a custom setup that fits your personal workflow and gets you shooting with confidence. By the end, you'll know exactly how to prepare your camera so you can focus on what matters, creating powerful images that tell your story. So we are going to move forward to the next slide, and I'm diving in, right? Deep waters, guys. So on this screen, you have six options, and let's read through them, and then I'll show you the back of the camera and I'll describe a little bit what I'm talking about here. So essential settings you'll use every day. Me on the shoot, this is the menu I'm looking at. I'll show you the back of the camera next, but it's basically image quality, which is the, choose RAW for maximum editing flexibility, or JPEG for instant sharing and smaller file sizes. So image quality, white balance. I don't know if I have to explain, but for those that I have to explain, it's basically setting custom white balance to ensure accurate colors in challenging lighting conditions. This is where your pictures, depending on the lighting, whether it's natural or fluorescent, you will need to, your pictures get a little like warmer or greener or more orange, there's like a cast of orange or cast of blue. This is what we call white balance, and I use that setting all the time. So that's why it's in my custom menu. File numbering before every single shoot. I like to make sure that I'm starting at 0. It's just easy for maintenance. Sometimes when I'm doing, when I have 2 cameras and I switch between them, or if I have a second shooter, we want to make sure that all images start at 0, and then it's easier to do a sync as we are working throughout the day. So it's just a practice that I have learned from other photographers. And it's file numbering, maintain continuous numbering across memory cards to prevent duplicate file names. This way, I have an episode about image selection in Photo Mechanic. If you're interested, look it up on the channel. Look up Photo Mechanic, and you'll see it. I think it was already published prior to this episode, so you should be good. But file numbering helps when you're doing image selections and just manipulating images. Beep control. This is sort of like a weird one, but for me specifically, when I'm shooting events, when you're focusing your camera and you depress the shutter button, or most cameras have the autofocus button in the back of the camera, you hear the beep. This is basically camera indicating that it's now in focus, right? And most of the time I have it on and it's not a problem. Sometimes we're in an environment, maybe more of an intimate setting, maybe a smaller event, maybe a one-off priest that's not too happy with like having photographers around. So we try to be more sensitive. I use the beep control, the alert. It basically disables beeps for quiet environments like weddings or wildlife photography. That's another good example. If if you're doing wildlife. You don't want any sort of indication of technology being present. So you can disable it, and then your camera is quiet. And most cameras also have the silent shutter, which is just a more quiet version of more subtle than your typical shutter. When you click it, it's you can't hear it. If you have a mirrorless camera, you have nothing to worry about. This is just for DSLR cameras, where the mirror flips and makes a lot of noise. So so that's what it is. A highlight alert instantly identify blown out highlights with visual indicators during image review. I gotta tell you, this one setting is it's like it's unfair advantage almost. I remember when I learned it from a photographer, part of that when I was talking about being like technical, right? I remember I entered a conversation about histogram, and boy was I confused. Like I mean, I conceptually understood what people were talking about, but then quickly after I learned that I really don't need to use histogram, at least not for what I was doing. When I'm shooting events, and yes, you can, with every picture, you can review your histogram. And if, whatever graph on your histogram you're viewing, if it's shifted to the left, which I don't know if you guys are, is this the left or is this your right? So my left, your right, but essentially if it's shifted one way, you are what they call crushing your blacks, which is you can't see details in dark colors. But if it's shifted the other way, you're then, they call it crushing your highlights. This is over picture that's overexposed, and this is how people can tell from histogram whether it's working. I have learned that I don't have time to review every single photo. We go fast. Like nobody has time to like take a picture, review the histogram, and then take another one, then review the histogram. Like that's, for me, it was unrealistic. If it's working for you, great, fantastic. For me, I just wanted a quick way to like review. And I know that if I kill my dark sections in the photo, I can lift it up a little bit in post-production in Lightroom or Photoshop. But the thing is, if I just wanted to make sure that it's not overexposed, because there's no like easily recovering from overexposed picture. You can get those details back. And the highlight alert, essentially what it's doing is when you take a photo, it automatically in the back of your SCD highlights the portions that are overexposed, and you can quickly correct. There's no need to review histogram data. You're looking at like the image really quickly. And if you see overexposed where you don't want the picture to be overexposed, you just dial it back, take another photo, look at it, and it's like if it's not highlighted. So that was a huge takeaway that I got from one of the great photographers back in Connecticut. I've been using it since, and it's been fantastic. So I'll show you that. And then review duration, just how long images display after capture, longer for careful reviews, shorter for action. So I have it set at, I believe, 4 seconds. We'll validate that in a second. But that's really like, you kind of want to be at the point where the picture doesn't immediately disappear like after 1 second. Sometimes you're reviewing, sometimes a lot of times guests are asking for like, hi, can I see the photo? And when you hit the I call it a play, right, view button on your camera, when you're turning your camera around for the guest to see, sometimes the picture disappears and just creates this whole like uncomfortable situation. So so I make sure that it's set to at least like 4 seconds. This way I can get rid of it just by hitting the pressing the shutter button, but I have this option of like whenever reviewing with somebody else. It's super, super helpful. So so those are the essential settings. Let's look at the camera, because I wanted to now show you kind of what we were talking about live. Let's switch the image. All right, guys, so this is back of the camera. Again, this is Canon 5D Mark III. Older camera. We have it right now as a backup. We're actually shooting with 4s, and the menu on this camera, for example, I hit the menu button. It's right in the corner. So let's hit menu, and then, as I said, there's just a lot of options. I want to make sure that you guys can see this. Right. So a lot of options. if I start going through menus here, I mean, there's just menu after menu after menu. If you're in auto mode, remember that if your dial is set to auto mode, right here, if it's set to auto, you're not going to get all the menu options. Only if you go to switch it to manual mode, you'll see what I'm seeing here. But like I said, it's just a lot of different options. And good news is you can ignore probably 98% of them. So going back to my other list, let's start with let's see, let's go back to the slide quickly. Image quality. So for image quality, I am going, let me just adjust my notes here so I see. Okay. So for image quality, normally what I was saying is, I would get lost. I would be like, okay, image quality, I need to change. Like, where is it? And this is what I was talking about. Like, you don't want to be doing this when you're on location, worrying about other things. You don't want to be searching through. So in Canon cameras and other Sony and Nikon cameras, there is a custom menu. And this happens to be in Canon, this happens to be the last menu here, marked with like green. And this is where you can build your own custom menu. So when you switch to the custom menu originally, it's empty. There's nothing here. And what you can do is you can see that I have the options on this screen from the slide. Let me just roll back one more time. Those 6 options here: quality, balance, white balance, file numbering, beep control, highlight alert, review duration. You will see that most of these are covered here already. So image quality, beep, custom white balance, highlight alert, right? Format card, file numbering. So let's talk about those. So starting actually, before we start discussing the first one, in order to add items to this menu, you basically go to the bottom. It says My Menu Settings, and I will hit Set. And then it says Register to My Menu. If I wanted to add an option to this menu, I would simply hit Set again. And what I am looking at right now, it says image quality. It's a little grayed out at the top here. I don't know if you guys can probably see it right here. And then image review. It's still available for me to select. If I select it, it'll add it to my custom menu. Beep is grayed out because it's already part of my menu. And then release shutter without card. And then if I scroll through this menu, I'm essentially scrolling through every single option that's like available for me. And that list is pretty long. You can see the slider going down here. So I can basically add any of those options to my favorite menu, right? So right now I already have this menu built for myself. As you saw, I have those options there. So it's a total of 6. That's all I'm using really on location. Whenever I'm arriving at location, I typically look at image quality. Beep, I normally have it enabled. Custom white balance, that's just kind of as I go, but it's a quick access here from this menu. If I wanted to, it's basically custom measuring white balance. I'm not going to go into details on this one, but it's one of those options that I like to use sometimes. Normally I go by Kelvin. I just set numbers for my white balance. We'll have an episode probably just dedicated to that. But custom white balance, sometimes I use it and I like to have it here for quick access. Highlight alert, like I said, enable, disable. This is when I take the photo. It basically shows me what's been like overexposed. I'm not sure if I have an example here. I do. So you guys can actually see this is my daughters were practicing the other day. So those are the images you're seeing here. They were practicing using flash inside the house. But you can see to your left there, see the highlights, and there's data is really like it's just lost. Do I care for this particular picture? Not really. The focus was here on making sure that the little pig with wings is being illuminated properly. So I don't care in this instance. Another photo, if I keep scrolling, you guys can see whatever is blown up and not good is automatically highlighted. If it was important for me, like, you know, what's behind the window there, then I would need to immediately adjust my camera. But the highlight alert is essentially, and this is just another example with another highlight alert flashing. So that's exactly what it is. If I disable this option and go back to the photo, you'll see that highlight alert is no longer there. So I always want to make sure that it's enabled. Format card, before I start shooting, before every wedding, before I leave the house, actually the night before, I go and I format my cards, making sure that everything is all set. But if I, for whatever reason, forgot, I could just quickly go here and like format my cards. File numbering, same thing before the wedding. I format the card, and the next thing I go file numbering, I hit set, and then manual reset. This resets my images to 0. So that's another option there. And that is really it. Like those are the options that I use all the time. For image quality, beep, custom white balance, and highlight alert, I typically don't touch those. The only two that I use every single time is the format card and file numbering. So those are super important. And then let me see if we have, let's switch back to the slide for a second. And let me see what we have on the next slide. Let's take a look. We're moving to other options, and these are, I thought they would be worth mentioning. This is something that you guys will get to like set probably at some point, maybe after you get the camera or as you get more comfortable. But I wanted to talk about like 4 different settings that are important, that have sort of helped me with the way I shoot and the workflow that I have. So advanced features for power users. Now we're past the sort of level 1 basic to more advanced features, and we have dual card recording. And this one, it says record identical copies to both memory cards for instant backup protection, or use one card for RAW and another for JPEG files to streamline your workflow. Great feature. I'll show you where that is. Dial direction reverses the direction your main dial rotates in TV and AV mode to match your natural hand movement and speed up adjustments. Important one for me, and I'll explain why when we get to look at it, because you guys actually have to see the camera for me to demonstrate. Custom shooting modes, save your favorite combinations of settings to C1, C2, and C3 buttons. Perfect for quick switching between portraits, landscape, and action photography setups. I'll show you what that is. And auto rotate images enable automatic rotation of vertical shots during playback, making image review more intuitive and faster on your camera LCD screen. Kind of self-intuitive, but I'll explain in a little bit. So let's go back to the camera again, and this one, I don't have those 4. Like I said, they are already set and done at one point. It's not something I need to worry about every single event. Like for my cards, I always record to 2 cards. And for those of you guys that don't know, cameras, the professional level cameras, when I let's pause there for a second, because some of you may not know. I think of cameras as like 3 different levels. One is like an entry level camera, which is about $1,000. More or less. And then you're talking $25, maybe $3,000 for body alone. And then you're talking like high end, like maybe between $4,000 and $6,000. I always shoot with these. So you're looking at about $3,000, $2,500, $3,000, depending on what you're getting. And that was perfect for everything that I have done: editorial work, magazine work, TV work, and weddings, portraits, corporate shoots, product shoots. So if you're like trying to figure out how high you need to go, I think going higher. I mean, there is a point where if you're doing a lot of professional magazine work, which I'm assuming most of this audience it's not there, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. It's the going higher is an overkill. But if you got the dough, if you got the cash, then I would say do it. For me personally, this last 17 years, it has been working great. After renting and testing different equipment, super happy with this. And I think you can also start with, 1K camera. And by the way, Sony, Nikon, and Canon will have equivalent cameras. So you'll see that like entry levels they're all 1,000, doesn't matter which brand. For the medium, it's the same thing. So so on this one, back to what I was saying is when I opened my card slot on the side, you have two cards, right? So there is one card and then the other one is here, and you have an option of, it's kind of nice because in a situation where one card gets damaged, gets lost, or you always have the backup because the camera is recording two cards at the same time, and you can do RAW to one side and JPEG to another side, like we said. So it's super convenient. As far as the setting in the menu, I believe here it's in the yellow section. So when I say yellow, it's the actual color. Here you have the orange, yellow, and somewhere here at the top, you see there's an option, record function plus card folder selection. So I'm going to select this option here, and then it says record function, record to multiple. So here you can kind of choose record to multiple cards, record separately, auto switch card, and standard. Not going to go into and explain everything else, but like if you have it set to standard, it records images to first card and then goes to the second card. That's not what we want to do. I have it set to record to multiple, and this way it records to two. But then you have an option of saying, hey, which one would you like to see when you're previewing your images, right? So you can select between two cards. I have it set to card number one, and that's really it. So that's the dual card recording option that we had on the slide. The next one here was, let's go to the right, custom shooting modes. This, I believe, is also in yellow. Custom shooting modes. So let's move around in this one here, custom shooting modes. There you go. So custom shooting modes, you can see it also at the very top of the menu here. It says custom shooting mode C1, C3. What is C1 through C3? Canon cameras, like other cameras, have, I'm not sure if you guys can see it. I'm going to try to get it as close. Can you see the top, on top of the dial? It says C1, C2, C3. You can see it better here, maybe. Okay, there you go. So C1, C2, C3, right? Basically, what you can do is when you have your settings, think of like being in manual mode, for example. If you're looking at your screen here, once, I'm not going to get into explaining manual mode, but once you have everything set you like your ISO, your f-stop, and your shutter speed, sometimes you're in a situation where maybe you're shooting indoors and you need to go outside and then come back. If you're shooting simply in manual mode, you have to readjust your camera, right? You have to like set everything for the inside, and let's say it's a darker, like a church. And then you're going outside where it's like sunny and super bright, and then you have to readjust your camera, and then you're rushing back in and you have to readjust. To solve this issue, I always have my one of my settings, let's say I'm inside the church, set in manual mode. So whenever I'm in manual, it's set for the indoors. And then I go outside and I can actually change my settings here in manual, go back to my menu, custom shooting mode. And once those settings are set and I test, I take an image, I'm like, okay, things are looking good. I can go back to this menu here and say register settings, and it will allow me to like put it under C1, C2, or C3. So this way, when I go outside, I can, instead of playing with my settings of my camera, I can simply just switch it to C1 and the settings are there, and I shoot outside. I want to go back in, I switch to manual mode, and then automatically the camera is set to for the indoors. So super helpful. Sometimes if you have 3 different situations, we've been in that situation where, like, let's say you're maybe, let's say you're at the reception at the wedding, and it's like the dance floor may be like dark with lights where you have one set of settings, and then maybe people are hanging around by the bar and it's different lighting. Now you have more light, maybe different temperature of light. we can set it then to like C1, and then maybe you need to go outside, it's still not that dark, and you have to have separate settings for outside. It's nice to, like, once you set it, when you know that you have to do a lot of like walking back and forth, and then I just switch between manual, C1, and C2. So it's super easy. I don't have to every time readjust the entire camera. So very, very helpful for me, and I'm hoping it's gonna help you. The next one here was dial direction. This one is sort of like weird, but whenever I was shooting in like manual mode and the other modes too, this dial, let's switch back so you guys can see the camera. This dial here, when you're in manual mode and you're trying to make the pictures, when you are in AV mode, when you are trying to make your picture brighter, my brain goes into the space of like brighter is to the right. And it's not even my brain. It's this thing where you're viewing the indicator here. Can you guys see it here? There is like a little indicator here on this scale. And when it's showing that you're underexposed, in order to move it to like a brighter setting, you have to turn this wheel counterintuitively, at least for me, to the left, right? And if you're trying to make the picture darker, and that little indicator shows you that it's like kind of overexposed, and you're trying to move it to the left, you have to turn the actual dial to the right. And I always struggle with it. Like, I'm looking through my viewfinder and I'm seeing that I have to move something to my left, but I have to turn to the right. Like, it was driving me insane. And then somebody actually pointed to this menu setting and he's like, you can change the direction. So when something is overexposed, you're trying to move it this way, you can actually turn that way. And when something is underexposed and you're trying to make it brighter, you actually turn that way. So for my brain, it was just easier. I hope you guys are already using it. If not, a great feature. And if you were looking at the menu, I think it's in the orange space, but let me just double check. Now we're in orange menu, and somewhere here, dial direction during TV AV mode. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, normal mode, it's, for me personally, was counterintuitive, so I had to switch to reverse direction, and it helps me tremendously. So so that's something maybe it'll be helpful for you. I highly recommend it. And then the next one, what else do we have? Dial direction, and then we had auto rotate images. Super simple. It's something that people check off. I think out of the box it doesn't come this way, so something to pay attention to. But this one is in the yellow menu. So let's go back to yellow, and we are looking for auto rotate. There you go. You guys can see it's this option right here. And auto rotate for camera and computer, I have it set as on for both. If you click on it, you can say auto rotate just for computer, but not on the back of your LCD. Or you can say off, which doesn't rotate neither for the computer or the camera. I love it when it auto rotates, because you don't have to move your camera around if you want to see a vertical shot. So I have it set to auto rotate for both, and that's really it. So in terms of the advanced features, I think we're covered there. And then the next thing here is, it's not really an advanced tip or advanced option, but I just wanted to share like 2 customization tips that helped me. And one of those, and it's probably on one of those slides. Let me see if I have it here for you guys. Is the customization tips that make a difference. Release shutter without card and wireless image transfer. What do they do? So the first one is it disabled this feature to prevent accidentally shooting without a memory card that's inserted in your camera. You'll never lose important shots to an empty camera again. The shutter will lock until a card is present. This I needed to set as a reminder. I never changed this option. Well, sometimes, but immediately after that, I go back and reset it. Why is it good? It's because when the camera can shoot without the card inside, it's really easy to make that mistake when you're like showing up to the shoot, and let's say you forgot to insert your cards before you went to your shoot, right? And you can actually look through the viewfinder, take a picture. It sounds like you're taking a picture for the DSLRs. For the mirrorless cameras, no sound. But the thing is, the camera acts like you're taking pictures, but there's no card. And I've been in situations where I think twice in 17 years where, luckily I always have extra cards with me, so not a problem. But like I've been in a situation where I took my camera, set everything up, and like the subject is ready. I would take some photos, and then reposition the subject, click some photos. I'm hearing that it's working. I'm seeing on the LCD quick preview because the camera actually shows you a preview, and without realizing the card is not there. So absolutely mind blowing. And then I would quickly like look, just to like, it shows you the quick preview, and then when you click on the actual preview button on the camera, you're like, oh, there's no card. Like it's not storing. The camera is previewing, it's still shooting, it's still showing you, but it's not storing anything. And it's like, I just wanted to, kind of make sure that it's like, I want to know whenever the card is not there, I don't want the camera to act like it's working. So I have it set so that it's, if it's not present, the camera is just not working. And I'm like, oh, something is wrong. At least it's like a trigger where I can go back and fix it quickly. So that's important. And then wireless image transfer, that's another one that gets me. And this is usually with, I can't show you on this camera just because this is Mark III, which doesn't have wireless option. The 5D Mark IV has wireless option, and sometimes when I would work with, let's say I would do headshot photos, and what I do then is I transfer images as I shoot wirelessly onto my laptop for the client to preview it on the monitor. I would leave it in the wireless mode activated. That drains your battery, right, very quickly. So if you have single battery, which you shouldn't if you're doing professionally, but it's something to pay attention to, right? Because sometimes you're moving quick, let's say even between moments, and if you forget to, like, let's say the day before your shoot, let's say you leave it in the wireless on, and then you're quickly losing the battery juice. You may be in a situation where like you move from one spot, you go to another spot, it's an important moment, you try to take photos, and it's like your battery is low, like the worst thing that can happen. And I just wanted to make sure that like before I leave the house that I check for wireless. It's an easy thing to spot because you have a little indicator on your LCD at the top of the camera. But it's just something to pay attention to. Wireless image transfer, configure your camera's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth settings for seamless image transfer to your smartphone or computer, share photos instantly with clients, or post special media while still on location. So yeah, just something to remember. Pro tip, create different custom menu setups for various shooting scenarios. I think that's an overkill. If you want to, you can. One for studio work, another for events. You can do it. You can actually have multiple custom menus. And like it's saying, like for one type of shoot, it could be one set, and for another, like studio, it could be another one. And then you can switch between them, and it's all about making your life easier. And this way you don't have to stress, and it's not like an additional struggle, additional stress that's being added as you're working. So very important. And then the next slide here, people usually ask, let me switch over. People usually ask like, well, you're showing us 5D Mark IV and like, we get it, but like, what about my camera? So I actually went through different brands and searched for the options. And guess what? Everything we have discussed today is available in your camera. If it's not, we're probably talking, entry-level cameras. Some of those may not be available. I was looking at the mid-range, the $2,500 to about $3,000 per camera body, and found all of those options in there. If you have any comments, or if you found something, even if you have something that you guys are using, I'm curious to know and learn from you. We never stop learning. So anything that can make my life easier and lessen the stress, I'm in. So leave it in the comments if you have any questions. Image quality, I went Canon, Nikon, Sony, same lineup as always. Image quality was present, the beep enable, disable, custom white balance, highlight alert, file numbering, image review, duration, dual card recording, custom modes, dial direction control, and auto rotate images. Regardless of your camera brand, these settings are available to optimize your shooting experience. So validated, it's there. Look for this stuff because it's super, super helpful. And I'm just checking for the next slide here. And yeah, the point is, guys, this should be like, why are we setting this up? Why do we worry about like customizing? Because it saves time, because shooting photos, taking photos should be fun. You shouldn't be fumbling with your menus and your camera on location, right? So less time in menus, access critical settings instantly without hunting through complex menu system. You don't want to do that. More time creating, focus your energy on composition, lighting, and capturing decisive moments. Like I said, it's got to be fun, right? I always have two rules when I work. And the first one is it has to be fun. And the second one is it has to be done. And I just follow those two. And I got to tell you, so far, 17 years of doing this, it's been a good experience. So shoot with confidence. Trust that your camera is configured perfectly for your unique shooting style. We've covered the essential and advanced camera settings that will make your shoots more efficient and less stressful. Again, the word stress. By customizing your setup, you'll spend less time fiddling with your camera and more time capturing the moments that matter most to you and, most importantly, your clients. And questions or comments, I just wanted to emphasize, I'm scanning through the comments just to make sure that we have nothing outstanding there. Okay, and let me just quickly look at YouTube, same thing. Okay. If you guys have questions, if you have something that you wanted to share, if maybe you have a tip, maybe you have a menu that you constantly use, please share it with me. I would love to hear back from you guys. Thank you so much for spending the time. I understand you're paying with your time here. It would mean the world to me if you would consider subscribing or leaving a like. That always helps me tremendously. For today, that's it. And I think because we had a pretty good session with the camera, I'm thinking a lot of folks ask about like, what buttons, what do I worry about? Like, when I show up at the shoot, like, what am I looking at in terms of buttons? Because let me tell you, it's going to be the same thing as with the menu. Like, it's just few that you have to worry about, or you have to know how to operate them. So I'm thinking maybe for next time, I may do something about the actual body of the camera, just so we can have like a quick overview. Probably will be basic for those of you guys that are already advanced shooting, know what you're doing with your camera. But for those of you guys that like maybe just purchased, maybe you're practicing, maybe you want to learn more about, beyond basics, probably will be super helpful. Thank you so much for today. I'll see you next time. Marcin signing off. Have a the rest of the week, and I see you guys next time, 12 p.m. Eastern. Thank you. Bye.